I'm Ken Rockwell. Let's take a look at Viltrox 135mm f1.8 lens that they make both for Sony and for Nikon Z. This picture says it all. This lens gets super smooth bokeh, and it is ultra sharp and devoid of chromatic aberrations, and because of that we can get a three-dimensional effect where the ultra sharp subject stands forward from the fuzzy background. This is shot wide open at f1.8 at a 2,000th of a second at auto ISO 100 on my Z5 Mark II Nikon. It's shot vertically, and I have to apologize for that because YouTube, of course, is this big, wide, horizontal thing, but I'm shooting for gallery display, and I shoot vertical or square or whatever I want because my show, my rules. Anyway, let's zoom in here. I'll zoom into the top, and then I'll slowly scroll down to the bottom where you can see just how sharp this is. And that's really the only picture I need to show. It shows you how sharp this lens is and how great the bokeh is, which is the whole point of having this lens. Of course, if you just want plain sharp, here's a sunset shot, also at f1.8 wide open, at a 4,000th of a second at auto ISO 100. Back in olden days, lenses were never this sharp. They weren't as sharp in the center, and they certainly got blurry in the corners. This lens, I can't see any fall off in sharpness towards the corners, even shot at f1.8. Here's a Mercedes headlight lens. Again, wide open at f1.8 at ISO 100, and it's super sharp. If you can't get sharp pictures of this lens, you're simply doing something wrong. Here's a BMW M850 convertible. The bokeh in the lens is beautiful, even stop down. This is shot at f2.8 at a 500th at auto ISO 100. And again, the bokeh is great, just not as soft, but still smooth, even at the smaller apertures. There's a Chevy Impala convertible at f2.8 at a 1,000th of a second at ISO 100. Here's a shot of a Porsche and the BMW at f8 at a 1/25th. Again, when it's out of focus, it just goes away. It just stays smooth and doesn't distract, which is ultimately what we want this lens to do. Here's a Packard. Again, I apologize. So many of these I shoot in square mode on my camera because that's how I often see. These YouTube videos I do for fun. It's not what I do for a living. So I'll shoot it in square mode, which makes my management of my images much easier when I'm really seeing in a square mode. This is at f4 at a 2/50th at ISO 100. Here's a Guards Red Porsche, which is really the only color there is for Porsche. This is at f8 at a 1/25th. What's nifty about this lens is it's a very sturdy lens. It's heavier than any of the Nikon or Canon or Sony versions of this. And it's mostly metal. It's got a metal filter thread. It's got a metal hood mount. What I love is when I want to mount my filters, they just go right on. They don't cross thread. You just get them started and just, you see, they just glide right on. Using the other lenses with their crappy plastic threads, that's why I just have never liked the Nikon or Sony versions of the 135 f1.8, which cost 2.5 times as much. And why would I pay one of those guys to make a lens in China when I could buy this lens direct from China for like a fraction of the price? This display here is actually pretty useful. It shows you your distance, and if I start setting my apertures manually, I can even do it here on the lens. This top button is an autofocus lock button. This button you can set to preset focus distances. So for instance, I've already set them, and I show how to do that at my website. Every time I tap it, it goes to either these two distances, 2.2 meters or 214 meters. And just tap it and go. And you can set this to infinity, so if you're an astronomer, you can just tap this when you're out in the dark and know that it is focused at infinity. For instance, you'll focus it during the daytime at infinity when you can see what you're doing in autofocus, and then just recall this when you're out in the dark. This is useful, for instance, if you want to preset it to, say, home base or your bird feeder or whatever it is. And if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But if you do want to use it, again, check my guide at kenrockwell.com, and I'll tell you all about how to use it. I also like the fact that it has a real autofocus manual focus switch. You can turn the clicks for this ring on or off, and I don't use the focus limiter, but if you do, it has one of those as well. Now, I could go into a long review, but I have other stuff I need to shoot. You can go to kenrockwell.com. The links are in my description, and also at the top right corner has a card here on YouTube if you can catch that, depending on your player. And I have the original files for all the images I just showed you, as well as intricate, intimate details of every aspect of distortion and sun stars and image stabilization. No, it's not a stabilized lens, but it actually does stabilize very well on the stabilized cameras. So I have a review loaded with every intimate detail about this lens, which you're welcome to read at your heart's content at kenrockwell.com. Thanks again for watching kenrockwell.tv and reading kenrockwell.com. See you in the next video.